Hey, what's up everyone? It is me, Camilla Aaron. I'm making another video today. I uploaded just yesterday, but I wanted to upload this one. I was thinking of some idea content and was like, well, let me film this. I may not release it today, I'm not sure. I'm going to talk about hardships for transgender people, and I'm just going to generalize as a whole. It's not always good to generalize. But for simplifying this and making this easy to digest, I'm just going to state as a whole, like, it applies to people that truly do have gender dysphoria, and I'm not picking sides, I'm not being political. Please listen to what I have to say. I'm not a liberal person, I'm a conservative person, and I'm transgender. You can be transgender and be conservative. You can be transgender and believe in God. You can also be an atheist and you can have different views. Everyone's different. And that's kind of the beauty of life, and that's also the hard part of life, especially with conflicting views. And we live in a world that is just not designed to truly coexist. And I do believe religion can affect that. But I do believe that it comes down to the fact every person is different and we're all very unique. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about, well, what's hard about being transgender. For real trans people, I always qualify that as real, but I'm just going to include all trans people. We stick to our transitions and we stick to our hormone, we stick to all of the things we do in order to change from one gender to the other. My personal belief, after being on the cross-sex hormones for 10 years, is the human body is not designed to change your sex. I know that all men are born with nipples. We all were once, an egg and a sperm cell that just met. I mean, I'm not like going to get into pro-life or pro-choice or any of that. All I'm trying to get at is we all started out and we were born a certain gender. I'm intersex, so there are outliers, but just going to generalize as a whole. I do believe if you were born in the wrong body, having gender dysphoria, and suffering from being transgender or transsexualism, it's not a choice for people that are truly born this way. And one of the hardest parts is loss of loved ones. Loss of loved ones is a real tough one for me because it hurts. It hurts more than you can imagine. And I do think that it's something only trans people themselves can understand. I have Facebook. A lot of my friends are, transgender people. I see them from all walks of life, mainly Democratic, but, liberal to conservative, from atheist to Muslim to Christian. Transgender people come in all shapes and sizes and all have their own beliefs and their own identities. But because people who are not trans cannot empathize, they see people's transition as a choice. Transitioning, when you deal with gender dysphoria, is not a choice. It is, you have a medical problem, you see a medical doctor, they write you a prescription for medication, and you go through a medical transition. It's a medical issue. A lot of trans people call that trans medicalism. They don't like it because they don't want to say we have a health issue, we have a mental condition. It's better in the eyes of the whole world that you do have a mental condition as a trans person than to just identifying as trans. You don't just identify as trans and take cross-sex hormones and have surgeries just for the fun of it. You don't. You really don't. And because they can't relate, and their lack of ability to have empathy towards a transition leads so many transgender people to lose their families. It may happen immediately. It may take several years. It may take their whole life, and slowly certain family members will pull away, and some will cut them off right from the very beginning of their transition. They're just not supportive. I see, trans people on my Facebook feed of friends that I'm on with Facebook that are like living in their cars and no one will hire them. And it's due to a lack of empathy towards transgender people. Um, I'm probably gonna get hate on this video, but if you're not trans, you have no idea what it feels like to be trans. I'm not talking about being non-binary or being, neo-pronouns. I'm not talking any of that mumbo jumbo. I'm talking about, real medical gender dysphoria or gender identity disorder is what it used to be called. Because people can't empathize with you, they see transitioning as a choice, and generally in religious households, they see you as changing the way God made you. God made me born a male, an intersex male, who had gender identity disorder from a young age. I sought out medical treatment, and even though I see a doctor to do a transition to change my gender for all intents and purposes, I can't change my gender. I can't change biology. Biology is biology. Can't change it. But what I can say is that, and overall, one of the biggest issues is trans people face discrimination. And discrimination in the workplace and discrimination at home. Discrimination at the workplace means lack of employment. Lack of employment has families seeing you as you can't get a job, you transition now, you can't get hired. Look what you've done. You've made yourself unmarketable. If people didn't have a stigma attached, if transsexuality didn't have a stigma attached to it, those trans people would have no issues getting a job. The problem is that the trans community has become very convoluted, and the trans community has become very unrelatable, and we were on the on the incline of acceptance for the past 40 years, and then post 2017 we started losing acceptance because of gender radicalism, and now with TikTok, things like neo-pronouns like zer, or furry for self, or fairy self, or however you say that. That's not transgender stuff. That's a whole different type of mental issue. But when we're talking about transsexuality or transgenderism as a whole, the bottom line is discrimination and lack of empathy. The discrimination in the workplace, the discrimination in real life, the discrimination in relationships, and the discrimination by friendships and loved ones can really break a trans person's heart, their mind, their soul, and their confidence. Trans people are born to fail, more or less, is my bottom line. Trans people are truly dealt unfair hand of cards in life. And I have this tattoo because it's the hand of cards I was dealt in my life. This is my predominant hand. I see it every day. I see it every time I look at my hand. Just to remind myself, this is my life. This is the hand of cards I was dealt. And not everyone is going to understand it. And it's okay to cut losses. I'm not saying disown your family. Try to maintain those relationships and hold on to them dearly and cherish them. If your family is being unfair to you, try to educate them to the best of your ability. And I always recommend that people pray. Reach out to the Lord and ask for acceptance. Ask God to speak to your loved ones. He works in mysterious ways, and your loved ones should be able to accept you. And you may starting your transition now, and your family doesn't want to talk, but 5 or 10 years later, they may come around. You have to give people time. Because they can't empathize with you, you can't demand respect. And you are not owed respect by anybody. No one owes you anything. No one owes you anything. That's the way life is. We have to take care of ourselves. I do believe that's the way that humans were designed. If I look at through an evolutionary standpoint or through a creationist standpoint, we all have to fend for ourselves. I hope that my channel can help bring awareness to transgender people in a different way than the liberal trans narrative, because obviously that's not working. I'm making this video to say, even if you have loved ones that have broken your heart, do your best to show them that you love yourself and carry on and work hard on improving yourself, and they'll come around. And if they truly don't, it is what it is. Can't change it. You have to do what's best for you. I'm talking to the adults, and I want to be very clear about that. This is a video talking about adults transitioning. It's not easy. If you have any questions, if you're struggling in your transition, or if you're having relationship issues, feel free to comment. Maybe I can link other videos, or comment if I'm able to help in any way, or give you any feedback. I'd be happy to. But if you're struggling and you're trans, or you have a trans loved one that you're struggling to keep in your life, don't let them go, and just hold on to the loved ones. You can love someone from a distance. Even if you're all the way in another country, you can love them from a distance. But you have to love yourself first, or you'll never be happy. I do believe trans people are more or less, our lives are rigged. Our lives are designed to fail. And we really have to step up and work harder than the normal person to be successful. Look at Blair White. She is a transsexual who has spoken and spreads positive messages, and it tries and does enlighten the average straight world about trans issues in a more relatable and easier to digest way than most liberal content creators. That's why I have a more conservative approach, and I do believe my religion and my belief in God. I put my heart, my soul, and my prayers into the content that I release. Please go ahead and like and subscribe, and I hope I can help. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Take care and have a wonderful day.